Now, in topic specific vocabulary, let us talk about travel. And we have certain sentences, and you need to decide whether they are true or false. But if they are false, you need to explain why. So, first one is a travel agency is the same as tour operator. True or false? This is false because a travel agency, sometimes called as travel agent, is a place where you go to buy a holiday or ticket. And a tour operator is the company which sells the holiday to you via the travel agency, right? Second, a package tour is a holiday in which the price includes flight, transfers to and from the airport, and the accommodation. This is true. This is true. Third, an all-inclusive holiday is a holiday in which the price includes flights, transfers, accommodation, food, and drink. Third is also true. All-inclusive package tour. Fourth, when passengers embark, they get off an airplane or ship. Fourth is false because they get on. They get on airport. They embark. And when they disembark, the fifth one is when passengers disembark, they get on an airplane or ship. No, disembarking means they get off an airplane or ship. Sixth, the first thing you do when you go to an airport is to go to the check-in. Sixth is true. You have to go to the check-in first. Seven, you also have an automatic check-in now, and web check-in also. Seven, the first thing you do when you arrive at hotel is check-in. Is that correct? Yes, it is correct. Eighth, the opposite of package tourist is an independent traveler. True or false? Eighth is true. Package tourist or independent traveler, they are both same. Mass tourism can have a negative effect on the environment. True or false? Ninth can be true. 10. Ecotourism is a tourism which has a negative effect on the environment. True or false? 10 is actually false. Why? Because ecotourism is supposed to be tourism that benefits or has a neutral effect on the environment. Although this is not always the case, right? 11th, the words trip, excursion, journey, and voyage all have the same meaning. True or false? 11th is false because they all have slightly different meaning. That is why they are different words. You need to use your dictionary to find out what these are. 12th, it is always necessary to have a visa when you visit a different country. 12th is false because it depends on the country you are from and where you're going. Citizens of the European Union, for example, do not need visa if they're flying to another European country. 13. A flight from London to Paris could be described as long-haul flight, London to Paris. 13. False. It is a short-haul flight. It does not take any time. 17. Flying economy class is more expensive than flying a business class. False. Business class is expensive. 15. The Canadian citizen flying from Toronto to Vancouver will have to fill an immigration card before she arrives. Is that correct? 15. False. You only need to fill in an immigration card when you go to another country, but you don't need to do it if you're in Canadian or Indian states. You are flying from one state to another. You can't do it. It is not required at all. Cultural tourism is the same as sustainable tourism. True or false? False. Cultural tourism is a holiday taken in order to visit places that are culturally interesting or to attend a cultural event. But sustainable tourism is a tourism that causes minimal damage to the environment, similar to ecotourism. Then 17th is the peak tour season is the time of the year when many people are taking their holiday. True or false? 17 is true. We can also say high season, the opposite, the time of the year when not many people take a holiday. This is called a low season or an off season. 18. A cruise is a holiday where you go somewhere, usually Africa, to watch and take photographs of wild animals. True or false? 18. This is false because cruise is a journey on a ship for pleasure, especially that involves visiting a series of places A holiday where you watch wild animals is actually called a safari. An armchair traveler is someone who books holidays and flights on the internet. True or false? 19th is false, because an armchair traveler is someone who finds out what a place is likely like by watching travel programs or television, reading travel books, or looking at travel websites on the internet. This is armchair traveler. Then 20, a tourist trap is a place that is visited by many tourists and is therefore crowded and expensive. True or false? 20, it's quite true, because we can use the adjective touristy to describe places like this. No? Complete the sentences with suitable word or phrases from the box. These are the box. Okay. So the first one is because you need to read this one so that we can enter in the later page also. First, at the beginning of the war, thousands of refugees fled over the border to the next country. Since the civil war began, almost 1 million people have been forced to move to another part of the country. These internally displaced people or persons are now without food and shelter. Third, 19th century governments encouraged immigration to the colonies. Then see, there are different words: immigration and emigration. I'm talking about emigration, which is to the colonies. Fourth is the government is encouraging dash because of the shortage of the worker in the key industries. Fourth, this is called immigration, like Canada people does, like Australian does. Fifth is moving from a large European city to the small village in the Himalayas was something of say, you can have a good word for this. Fifth one we can choose cultural shock. Yes, cultural shock would be good. Sixth is thousands of British. In sixth, we can have expatriates. They are often normally or informally shortened to expats, expatriates. So thousands of British expatriates live in the Gulf states, where many of them have high-power jobs. Then seventh, the dash is under a lot of pressure owing to the huge number of displaced persons around the world. Seventh, we can have UNHCR, United Nations High Commission for Refugees, UNHCR. He was deported from the country when his visa expired. Ninth, because he had a criminal record, the government didn't want him to enter the country. Declared him, what we can have? Ninth, declared him a persona non grata. That is a Latin phrase which describes a foreign person who is not allowed to visit or stay in another country. Persona non grata. 10. After the economic collapse in the East, thousands of economic migrants should be good, headed west in the hope of finding a good job. 11th is people who are caught trying to enter the country illegally are usually held in a detention center before being repatriated or deported. Repatriated. Dash were tightened in order to reduce the number of people illegally entering the country. Border controls. Now we have this third task, and we have an essay on the topic travel, the other side of the coin, and we need to fill in the gaps, and gaps are filled or need to be filled from exercise 1 and 2. So let us start. Most of us have at some point in our lives experienced the joys of travel. When we go to travel agency to pick up some brochures or look on the internet for a cheap holiday deal, we book a 2-week package tour with flights and accommodation included, or if we are independent travelers, we make our own way to the country and travel around from place to place with a rucksack or backpack on our back. So we make sure we have all the right currency, our passport, and any visas that are necessary to get us into the country, and we go to the airport and check in. We strap ourselves into our tiny, say, economy class aircraft seats, and few hours later we disembark from the aircraft. Strange new sights, smells, and sounds greeting us. Nowadays, it seems the whole world goes on holiday at once. The age of mass tourism is in full swing. But for the great majority of people around the world, travel for them is done in the face of great adversity and hardship. They never get to indulge in an ninth we can have all-inclusive holiday in a luxury hotel with all meals and drinks included, and they never get to explore the lush Amazon rainforest or the frozen waste of the Arctic on an you can have ecotourism holiday. Yes, 10th will be good. Ecotourism holiday. For them, travel is a matter of life and death. I refer, of course, to all the refugees escaping from their countries, or the 12th we can have internally displaced, moved from one part of the country to another by an uncaring government, or say economic migrants forced to find a job and seek living wherever they can. So, can you imagine anything worse than the misery these people must face? Let's not confuse them with those expatriates who choose to live in another country and often have nice houses and high salaries. So these people are simply desperate to survive, as well as losing their homes because of war or famine or other natural disasters, or they must come to terms with their new environment. For many, the cultural shock can be too great. And while many countries with an open policy on say immigration will welcome them with open arms, others will simply turn them away. So these people become persona non grata, unwanted and unwelcome. So even if they manage to get into the country, they will often be deported or repatriated. So their future is uncertain. Something to think about, perhaps the next year you are checking in to your five-star hotel by Palm Fingered Beach, or sitting in a couch or coach on an excursion to a pretty castle in the countryside. So this was about a very very good topic, which is the traveling. Most of us relate to this. So thank you so much. Take care.